All right. I had a hard time getting into getting the bandwidth to play, but we're here. All right. Last we left off. Tonight we're doing more Runecairn with Mythic GME and Mythic GME to help with like story progression, and Ironsworn to help with some oracles. Because I do think the Mythic, the Runecairn Oracle is a little, it's a little slim. Although that could be a positive, depending. All right, just pulling up my Mythic cheat sheet. I did like using Mythic a lot for Cyborg. I do plan on going back to Cyborg eventually. Okay. I guess it PDF is bouncing all over the place. All right. Anyway, where last we left off, we got this playing this warrior named Torsten. Went ahead and moved his character sheet off of this little guy and onto this. I think this will be a little bit easier for me to read. Torsten ran through the. He woke up in the world of Runecairn, in the Beneath the Broken Sword adventure. Key takeaway moments from there were: one, he woke up with no memory of who he is, and in going through the adventure, only gleaned like a very shaky idea of who he used to be. Some sort of peacekeeping warrior before moving on. The other takeaway is that at the very end of the adventure, he was confronted by a Draugr, which taunted him when he encountered the Draugr. The Draugr taunted him with promising he has knowledge of who Torsten used to be. That didn't stop Torsten from basically obliterating him in one hit. If I remember correctly, we rolled essentially a critical hit. Speaking of critical hits and rules, I have not done any of the book reading, not really, that I promised to do. So we'll still be doing a little bit of paging back and forth in this thing. Anyway, at the very end of that, this giant raven, it's a raven, right? Yeah. Picked up Torsten and flew him off into the what we're calling the Nine Realms. And through a little bit of oracle divination, we found out that Torsten has sort of settled, would not be the right word, but he has joined this village called Brightholm. Nope. Called Whitebridge. What's Whitehome? That's from something. A settlement called Whitebridge, and we know Whitebridge is actually overseen by some a retired raider or barbarian kind of figure, going by the name of Rosina. And although Rosina is getting a little bit up there in her years and is getting a little comfortable in her position in Whitebridge, she still has a pretty formidable reputation. Whitebridge is also a fairly prosperous settlement in this one of the 9 realms. So, sort of overtaken by what is it called, ennui. Torsten's kind of bummed out and has figured settling here is as good as anywhere, and hasn't really moved on since. Some adventurer he is, huh? Relatable. What else do we know? We know Rosina is sort of joined at the hip by an old hag. I don't know if we have a name for this hag. I'm pulling up more notes. I already have all my notes all over the place. I think we just refer to her as the hag. And this hag has sort of pivoted Rosina's how do I want to describe it? Rosina has become increasingly both suspicious, conspiratorial, and superstitious under the quote-unquote guidance of this hag. Rosina defers to oracles and divination more than she ever did when she was on the road. So that's what we know about Whitebridge so far. Oh, physically, Whitebridge is literally a 2 villages built on neighboring plateaus in sort of this grassy steppe area. And the villages are joined together by a prominent white painted rope bridge that has managed to stand the test of time. Hence the name Whitebridge. The recent trouble in Whitebridge is that sickness is starting to sort of like creep through the settlement. That's what we got so far. Now we know through last prep session that Ravina will have a task for Torsten. However, which I've fleshed out here, one part dungeon crawl, one part quest kind of thing. However, I think I'm not gonna what do they call it, like murder your darlings or whatever, slay your darlings. I'm not gonna, despite this wasn't even that much work, it's like 20 minutes worth of stuff. We're still gonna put ourselves to the mercy of Mythic and see where the oracles and the dice take us. So tonight's session opens up with Torsten having received a summons from a messenger on behalf of Ravina to his little I picture he's got like some shitty little cabin kind of thing on the outskirts of Whitebridge. And the messenger is not important. Basically tells Torsten, you need to go see Ravina. So our opening scene is Torsten has answered the summons and stands on the precipice of this grandiose longhouse in the most prominent area of the more prominent village. You know, again, Whitebridge is 2 separate villages. So Torsten stands at this doorway, and through the thick wood of the doorway, you can already smell the heavy smoke emanating out of Ravina's cabin. But the first thing we have to do is test our scene. Right? The first thing you do is test the scene. Let me get some more mythic stuff up here for me to reference. Why didn't you do that before you started recording? I don't know. I like to think that you guys like to watch someone do it live. I know there's like there's like a rule summary thing at the end of the Mythic 4 book, but I don't know. There could be a better like cheat sheet kind of thing. Okay. Testing scenes. So roll on D10 and compare it to the chaos factor, which is 5, if you can see pencil. I rolled 5. I rolled over, rolled odd within the chaos factor. It's an altered scene. So this scene's going to be adjusted in some way. 2, we're going to add a character. Okay. Let's just keep going. Let's roll on the tables. Let's look at the big listed tables and see if there's something to roll on. Because I know Mythic has like character tables, right? Selected tables and sheets. What the hell? Where are the tables? There's like a big grid of tables. This stuff. See, this is not what I hate about Mythic. I never feel like I get. I never get anywhere intentionally. Skill issue, some people would say. I have a skill issue. There it is. Okay. Characters. Let's roll on characters. So there's someone else in this cabin. 34. Feminine. Okay. A little cheat sheet. I can spell fem in 9. That's close enough. Character appearance. 2, armed. I'm getting an armed warrior woman so far. A warrior woman background. 46. Freedom. Okay. Sellsword. Go with a descriptor. 95. Uniformed. Huh. She still wears the uniform of her. Okay. Let's go ahead and get identity, motivation, and personality. As long as I'm looking at these tables for this character. 32. Family. Related to Ravina. Rosina. All right. 33. Gratify. Motivation is gratify. 24. Competitive. Okay, what we have here is a Ravina's sister has quit some sort of army and has become a sellsword. However, out of loyalty to Ravina, she is going to challenge Torsten to do this task better. What we have here is a Okay, I know exactly. Okay. What else do I need to know? Let's go into the Runecairn books. There is a adventure options. We need a name. 74 Salvar Sif. Okay, we got a new character we're gonna put on here. Good old Sif. Sister, sellsword, competes. There's got to be a better word for that. Competes with Torsten. Now, a good video maker would edit all this out into like a 10-second clip, but that's not what we do here. Keep that there. And I'll go into the Runecairn bestiary. Is there a bestiary? The monster list. Is there like a warrior I can just pull right off of here to be Sif? Otherwise, I will pause to roll up a character. There is not. God bless it. She's not a cultist. She's not a dwarf. Sit tight. Okay, there's the bigger bestiary. Boom, boom. Let's look through here. Bandits, that could do it. W for warrior, nope. So S for soldier. Sea folk. Good to know. Brigand. That sounds about right. Yeah, she's a brigand. Chainmail and a bearded axe. Okay. I want to write that down too. She's a brigand. Until I stat her up proper. Okay. Sif. All right, back to our scene. Torsten pushes open the big double doors for the log cabin. And the contact high of all the smoke inside the cabin is almost immediately enough to make him dizzy. But he pushes onward and through it until he reaches the I don't want to call it like a throne, but the big seat, the seat of importance at the end of the long table that he knows, even though he can't see her through the smoke, he knows Rosina will be there. And joining Rosina on left and right sides are one the hag, and on the other side is a woman he has never seen before. Torsten, although he doesn't have much memory of where he comes from, knows better than to flinch at anything unexpected, and therefore immediately invites himself to take a seat at the table. And helps himself to, like there's a gourd of wine, pours himself a cup into this mug and sort of draws out introductions or conversation for as long as he can muster, doing so with the help of wine. Rosina is she's not tactful in the way she talks to people. She's got a warrior's background. She's not even ever accumulated to statecraft. She breaks the silence. She leans forward and she goes, putting her giant muscular forearm on the table as she leans across all the buffet of food. And she says, have a something for you to finally do, Torsten. I found a purpose for you. And when she says this, the hag grins like a toothless smile, giving Torsten the implication that maybe Rosina isn't the one who came up with this idea. All right. All right, you old biddy. Let's have it then. I'm going to assume that waiting around isn't part of the to-do. And to which Torsten starts like plucking grapes off of a communal bowl at the table and starts helping himself, doing his best to seem completely nonplussed by the array of women at the table with him. And notably, he is avoiding eye contact with the smaller, younger woman to Ravina's other side. Clearly a warrior of some kind. Torsten hasn't seen her before. Ravina shrugs and says, okay, let's have it then. There's an individual I need you to bring to heel. He's a criminal here in Whitebridge. However, he has recently escaped the city. He's escaped our jail cell before he could be dealt with. Torsten gestures and says, by dealt with, you mean... Rosina fills in the word. She says, yes, executed. We were going to execute him for crimes committed, found guilty of, and I need you to bring him back so we can give our people here in town a true sense of closure. And Torsten says, what exactly does this man stand accused of having done? To which you would think I would have an answer out of character. I don't. So let's go to the Mythic Oracles and roll on the action tables. Action 1. 70. Protect. 23. Elements. Protect elements. This man was one of our caravan guard. Helped us with trade. And stands accused, or has been found guilty of, dereliction of duty. As a result, the caravan, missing pivotal protection, was left vulnerable and summarily ambushed by bandits. If only this man were there. Torsten asks, does this man have a name? Again, you would think I would have that prepared. I don't. So we're going to go to name generator. Goes by the name of Tora. Nope. Goes by the name of Toke. T-O-K-E. I'm going to very lightly write down Toke on our character list. Torsten starts to rise up from his seat. So, caravan guardsman Toke stands guilty of dereliction of duty, is indirectly responsible for the loss of a caravan and the loss of several lives here of Whitebridge. Has escaped his imprisonment, and you need me to find him, secure him, and bring him back. Easy? Ravina gestures yes. Easy. You've summarized it perfectly, young sir. All right. And then Torsten grabs a heel of bread, breaks off a piece, and with his mouth full of breadcrumbs, gestures at the young woman at the table and says, she's not here for no reason, is she? To which Ravina and the hag, and eventually the young Sif, all start chuckling. And Ravina says, well, considering your probationary status here in Whitebridge, I can't exactly send you out on your own. My niece here will see to it that you perform the duties such assigned to you. She's to accompany you and see you through to task. Is that fine? Torsten shrugs, reaches down to grab his goblet of wine. I drink water. And says, "This doesn't really sound like something I get to have a say in, regardless." Any leads? And this time, Sif speaks up for the first time, and she speaks with the outright candor of someone with a military background. She says, "Yeah, we've asked his family and found out that he used to like to take day trips out to the old outpost." She gestures in the direction that the outpost is. Like a former military encampment structure kind of thing. There might be as good a place to try looking as any. Torsten shrugs and says, Lady Sif, I am, and he bows. Somewhat, this is all sarcastic. I'm at your discretion. To which Lady Sif catches him by surprise by when she rises up, she has her buckler shield and her own bearded axe sort of were laying in wait on the bench beside her. And she hefts them up with an alarcity that sort of catches Torsten off guard. He is suddenly aware of just what kind of company he's going to be keeping on this adventure. Okay, we can skip through packing up to go. Not worried about that. Torsten has his mead flask, which still has 2 sips of that apple cider stuff. We can assume as a sort of like a free item, he has, or better yet, maybe like on some sort of like pack mule or something like that, Torsten and Sif have like rations to keep them going. So I'd very much like to hand wave worrying about the survival aspect of heading on down the road on a day trip. The outpost, of course, being just a day or so away. Instead, I'm going to fast forward to arrival at the outpost. I've sketched it out loosely, like an actual map, but this is much more. It's not literal, but basically, as Torsten and Sif approach, it's pretty obvious to see that this garrison. It's pretty much one sagging structure. It looks like it used to be sort of like a barracks or something like that used in the day. Is joined by a singular half-collapsed tower, and around that is a perimeter wall that is in a terrible state of repair. Although it does still stand as an impedance to them getting into the garrison, where supposedly this escaped convict Toke can be found. The exile. I'll write them down. Toke. So, our next scene, we move along to Torsten and Sif circling around this outpost to try to get an idea of like how they want to get inside of it. Let's test the scene. I don't think our chaos factor is going to change. 2. Ruh-roh. That's an altered scene. 7. Altered scene. Wait, roll even within the chaos factor. Interrupt scene. Oh, cool. Okay, we're interrupted. Just a D100. 44. NPC negative. Ooh, I'm going to have to pause to go find out what that means. But I do feel like I'm getting the hang of this. Altered scene. I think this bothered me last time too, with an interrupt scene. When I did it in Cyborg. What is NPC? What does NPC negative mean? I have my idea, and I'm gonna scroll for like another 15 seconds to see. Interrupt scenes. Okay. NPC negative to me, and Sif being the only NPC around here, we're actually going to rewind the clock back to Torsten and Sif on the road. And Sif, how does she say this? She opens up the dialogue, which has been otherwise pretty quiet on the road. Torsten's not one for small talk, you know. Uh-oh. 1 second. I've lost my recording. Okay. Technical difficulties, that's cool. I guess we're back. Whatever. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. That's just showing what my phone screen looks like. I don't like that. What does this show? Okay, that's technically back. Much better. Okay. Torsten and Sif on the road. And we have an NPC interrupt scene where quote unquote lady Sif, she's no lady, not really, breaks the silence with Torsten and says, you know, Rosina says you have a reputation for killing a lot of brigands back in your day. Torsten, who is walking alongside the pack mule, sort of tightens his hold on the reins he's using to lead the mule with, already sensing the tension in the air. Looks across the mule over at Sif and says, "Yeah, I try to live a life of virtue. From what I can recall, I did not tolerate people like thieves and bandits." And he looks Sif up and down as he says that. And Sif is immediately, her hackles rise up at the implication. Because, of course, although she is like a runaway from her military detachment, she doesn't consider herself such. She has apologized to herself for her behavior. She's excused her behavior, and you know, the ego is fragile. Torsten knows this, and he's twisting the knife. Sif, without another word said, drops her day pack to the ground. She stops marching. She drops her pack to the ground into the dusty road, and hefts up her axe and her shield, and points the axe at Torsten and says, "Oh, wait, you think you're better than me because you used to keep the peace." I gotta fix this camera. This is bugging me. It's so wobbly when it's so wobbly when it's not on the right thing. Oh no. I think it's a lost cause. Let's see. There we go. Can we record from here? And I'm wondering if I can just do some editing stuff. Sorry, but the camera wobble is really just like too much for me. Okay. I may have fixed it with some post-editing magic. You think you're better than me, and you used to put down the people that I call friends and brothers now, don't you? Well, what would you do if I said I want vengeance for all of them? And to this, Torsten sort of gestures the mule to like take a couple steps past, clearing the way between him and Sif. And likewise, he drops his pack and picks up his shield and axe and says, "You could seek your vengeance, but I don't think it would ease your troubles. It wouldn't put your demons to rest, Sif. You could slay me, but that wouldn't change who you really are. And it wouldn't change what you've done." I think I'm gonna test an oracle of some kind. How does Sif react to that kind of talk, you know? Let's go to favor or sorrow. 4 and 2 is 6. Favor with a complication. Torsten has called Sif's bluff, but now she's gonna wait for her opportunity to get one up on Torsten. She now associates Torsten with all of her failure, all of her troubles. It's because of people like Torsten. So as soon as his back is turned, she might take her opportunity. We've moved further away from ever having an ally here on the character sheet, on the character list. That's our interrupted scene before we go back to the two of them scouting out this garrison with, again, this perimeter wall made of crumbling, shattered brickwork, stonework, I should say. Let's test Torsten's wits. He doesn't notice, although the guard patrolling the perimeter is easy to point out Torsten from, like the next hill over, looking down over this garrison, isn't able to identify the fact that a lot of these gaps in the perimeter wall are actually set with traps. Yeah. The kind of, nothing too painful or deadly, but the kind of traps that would make a lot of noise. And so, under cover of sunset, Torsten leads Sif to trying to sneak through some sort of gap in the perimeter wall. Now, before we get into that proper, so I did come up with this garrison using the Runecairn Delve rules. However, Colin, if you happen to ever watch this, I hope you don't take it as a slight, but I find the Delve generator for Runecairn to be very weird in that it's so random in the types of encounters that you will have. It's really cool for rolling the size of the delve and the objective of the delve, all that stuff. But once you get to rolling encounters in the delve, it's just so going from one encounter to the next is just so random and non sequitur that I really couldn't abide by it. So instead, we're going to go through Runecairn Delve rules with this modified garrison that I've made. And the way it works is that as you move through encounters, you reduce the delve score, which there's 14 rooms on the delve that I rolled. So we need to go through 14 of them. And once you get to the last check boxes, because each box technically reduces the size, which is currently 14 by 1. When you get to 1, you roll for resolution to see if you've met our objective, which in this case is to find the exile. Instead, because I rolled up a bunch of encounters in advance, which is going to give us what I'm going to call keywords. So whenever we come across things that are on this encounter list, debris, a mad scald, discarded chainmail, blah, 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 blah. These things are what's going to check off our delve score. And we're looking to get all these boxes filled before we can really have a scene with the exile. I hope that makes sense. And I'm realizing now that the video is getting on to 45 minutes, so I think the actual delving of the garrison is going to be saved for another video. It's getting kind of late, and I've been kind of burning it at both ends. So I hope nobody minds. I don't mind. I play for me, and I don't mind. I give myself permission. We will do the delve in the next session. If you watch this, as always, I really appreciate it. If you have ideas I'm all ears because, as you can see, I'm really just making this up by the seat of my pants. And you can see that by, like how we added Sif to the list, which I think is going to be yet another antagonist to come and get Torsten eventually. Okay, thanks for watching. Looking forward to the next one. I think I've really hit I feel like I'm really onto something with sort of threading Runecairn with Mythic together into making more narrative-focused delves. So looking forward to it in the next one.